This is the end penetration on the cistern. I've got 2 1.25" schedule 80 pipes coming up through it with a 3/4 schedule 40. The one on the right is going to be a fill and draw line. The one in the center is also going to be a draw line, but probably for a small 12-volt pump. And the one on the left there on the other end is going to be simply a vent. And that's why you see a coupling that's holding it up above the form there, because there's only about a 2-inch extension that comes below that. These other 2 pipes, however, come to the bottom. The one on the right, the fill and draw line, terminates at a 90, which points in to the cistern. And that way, as it's filling up, it'll cause a recycling action, so there's not going to be a whole lot of buildup in sediments and that sort of thing, and we can filter that out for drinking water. If in the event that we use the draw line for some sort of solar application, and one in the middle draws off a T, so that there's less of a chance that it's going to draw any sort of impurities in the smaller line and clog up, the small pump. So that's what it looks like. And there's also a piece of wood under each of those 2 lines that terminate at the bottom of the tank. A little 1/2-inch piece of plywood while it sets, and then of course I'll remove that. That way, in case there's any sort of temperature fluctuations between empty and full tanks between the winter and summer, that there's enough room for expansion and contraction of the lines. Okay, we just concreted the first pipe penetration. We're done with that. We're going to go move on to the next one. But it looks fairly good for a non-concrete man. But it's pretty simple anyways. Alright, so here's the drop pipe for the pitcher pump with the 1.25" foot valve on the bottom. And again, this is another schedule 80 piece. What we're going to do is drop it through that penetration. It's going to sit on a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, so it doesn't sit on the bottom, pick up any particulate matter, sediment, and also to compensate for any sort of expansion or contraction. And what we're going to do is going to mark off, once we set it in the hole, mark off where the top of the cover is, and a couple inches down I'm going to drill a weep hole. That weep hole is typically 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to go a little bit smaller, 7/64, because there should be no large particulate matter that gets into that standpipe there, and that should be good for the pitcher pump. Well, the form for the bottom of the pitcher pump standpipe is in. That little mark indicates that the weep hole is facing towards the manhole access, in case we ever have to stick our head down in there and take a look, make sure it's not blocked, and reach over and poke a wire through it or something. Just makes sense. We're going to go ahead and put some concrete in there and get this part of it finished off. Well, there's the center penetration finished out. There's the one we just finished out a few minutes ago. And we're all set for our piping. Now we got to work the manway access, and that'll finish this thing. We can get it back built. So I'm down in the vault, and you can see the drop pipe for the pitcher pump with the foot valve on the bottom. And she stands off the bottom about a 1/2 inch because I had a little piece of plywood shimmed up underneath it to keep it off the floor of the vault. And up here's the penetration. In the back you see the same thing. Left side is the vent and chemical fill, and the other 2 are fill lines and draw lines. The center one, or the one on the left, the 3/4, is for just a small 12-volt or 24-volt DC pump, whatever I end up with. And the one on the right is 1.25" to fill and to draw from. And of course it's pointing in to create a sort of circulating pattern as it's pushing water or pulling water. So there we are.